Hi everyone, my name is Celeste at Treating Trauma with Yoga. So I wanted today to bring you some practices that will help you to regulate and settle, because I know that these times right now are very, very challenging, especially for people who already have some trauma in their history and are working with themselves to find balance. When everything around us is unbalanced, it can be very, very difficult to just navigate getting out the door and going to work, or picking up the kids from school, or whatever it is, if they're actually in school somewhere, and all of that, or whether you're homeschooling, whatever it is that's going on. Life is very challenging right now. Even if you didn't have trauma in your history, this world right now is very challenging and sometimes traumatic. For those of us who grew up as I did, with war as kind of a thing that happened for many, many, many years of my childhood, there was always that sense of, I don't know what's going to happen next. But we have had some fairly calm waters over the last 20 years or so with regards to that. And if you are younger than me, which probably most of you are, this is really shocking. This can be really shocking. And I don't remember a time in my history where we had this much political upheaval. And I was born after, thank you, the time where there was a pandemic in the past. So we're kind of getting all of this stuff all together, and it can be overwhelming. It can be really challenging to just navigate through life today. So there are some practices that I use on a regular basis, and we're going to use some of them so that you can learn how to help yourself. These are things that I teach as part of courses, but also I work with a trauma IOP, and I work with people with trauma on a regular basis. Doing these practices, showing them how to shift their energy so that they feel better in the moment. Is this a long-term fix? These practices by themselves are not. No, it's not like you could do this once and, oh, well, the trauma's gone away. It would be nice. But it's realistically not possible to do it that way. So what I will say, though, is if you are feeling anxious or dysregulated and there isn't a lot of trauma history in your past, maybe you're having trouble sleeping at night, maybe anxiety around what's going on in the world right now is causing you some distress, what's going on in your life, maybe you're not working, maybe somebody else in your family is sick, maybe all kinds of things could be happening right now and are happening for many people. So I guess what I'm saying is if this is an in-the-moment thing, we can work with that right here. If it's something more than that, if you've got history that you need to deal with, it's more involved than that. And it's possible that I may be able to assist with that, but it's not something I can do on a Facebook Live. I am not a psychotherapist. I am a yoga therapist. It's very different, and I work differently. With that being said, therapy is absolutely a valid option, and I wouldn't dissuade anybody from going in that direction. It is definitely helpful. I work in a trauma IOP, along with doing all the other things that I'm doing, but I do work with trauma patients, trauma clients on a regular basis through the IOP, and they have therapists that work with trauma, that do somatic experiencing and DBT and EMDR and multiple different therapeutic methods that work very effectively to help people walk through trauma. That is not what I do. I do different things. So if you're interested in any of those different things, you are welcome to contact me, and I'll be happy to give you more information. But for right now, for today, we're going to do some breath practices and some movement practices and a gentle meditation that may help to just diffuse some of the stress that we're feeling in these uncertain times. So as you're sitting, whether in a chair or on your mat, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you're sitting really at the moment. I'm comfortable, because this is what I do all the time. I'm comfortable sitting on my mat in a cross-legged position. You may or may not be, and there's no reason that you have to be. There's no reason that you have to sit like this. You can sit on a couch, you can sit on a chair, you can sit on a stool. The practices we're going to do right now are fairly simple and can be done by pretty much anybody. Although I will say there are some caveats to that too. If you've got health issues that you know will be challenged by any of the things that we're doing here today, please don't do them. Don't push yourself. If you would like, I would certainly welcome your email or contact on Facebook or my website to get more information about alternatives or ways that we could modify things for you, because I can definitely do that too. All right, so let's start first by noticing our breath. As you take that full breath in, place your hand, it doesn't matter which one, on your belly. Feel the breath as it moves in, and feel the breath as it moves out. And notice how it is that you're breathing. Does the belly expand as you inhale? Does the belly contract as you exhale? Or is it the other way around? Now, if it's the other way around, I encourage you to drop me an email or a note on Facebook or a note on my website and talk to me more about breath. Because if when you inhale your belly goes in and when you exhale your belly goes out, it restricts the flow of air into your body, and so you're not getting enough air in, and it may even feel like that. You may feel short of breath sometimes. That's something we can work on. That's something that can be fixed, and actually pretty easily. There are a lot of people who have trauma history who have this syndrome or symptom. It's called reverse breathing. There may be a technical term for it somewhere. I don't know what that is. But reverse breathing is what I know it as. And I will tell you that when I was first in a yoga class and I had an instructor who was going to have us start a particular practice, she had us breathe first and notice our breath. Notice the inhale and exhale and whether our belly went out or in and when. And I was a reverse breather. So I will guarantee you it's fixable, and the fix is not usually too difficult. But first you have to notice that there's a problem, and second, you have to understand the solution. So, another issue, we can talk about that separately one-on-one. But as you're breathing out and breathing in, noticing your breath, use this fairly simple way of shifting the breath into what I call even breath, which is allowing your inhale and your exhale to be the same length. You can do that by counting the breath in and then letting that count be the same for your exhale. Or you can do it with a simple phrase: I am breathing in and I am breathing out. And as you inhale, you say to yourself, without verbalizing that I am breathing in, and say to yourself again, without verbalizing, I am breathing out. And it comes up to the same amount of syllables, so roughly the same amount of time breathing in is out, and that's perfect. It doesn't have to be exact, it just needs to be. And when you find even breath, just let yourself settle into that breathing pattern. Breathing out and breathing in. And if you're feeling too anxious, just sit here and do this. We're not going to be doing it long, just so you know. I just want to give you a sense of even breathing. So that you know what that's like. And you can do even breathing throughout your whole practice today. And I encourage you to try that. And we'll shift it a little bit toward the end. But for now, let's just work with even breath. So come to standing on your mat. And roll your shoulders onto your back. Engage the belly as you breathe in and breathe out. And as you're standing, perhaps lifting up your toes if that's available to you. And you can place one toe at a time from each foot down onto the mat, or you can just press all of your toes down at the same time. And notice the sensation of grounding that happens when you do that. And then inhale and reach your arms up. Look up at the ceiling. And exhale, let your hands come back down to your chest. Bring up. And exhale, release. Screen, I'm not going this fast. Okay. Reaching up. And exhale. And one more. And this time as you reach up for the ceiling, maybe even back just a little bit, arching the back just a little. And then exhale, dive forward, bring your hands down. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. If you can see my legs, you'll see that I'm going to keep my knees bent here for a moment. My hands are down onto the mat. You do not have to keep your knees straight in trauma-aware yoga. Just let yourself relax into this position and feel the stretch that's happening in your spine. Notice the low back. Let your head and your neck relax forward. Maybe nodding your head yes or shaking your head no. Just let the hands come down where they do. Doesn't matter exactly where they are. If your knees are bent, just let yourself settle here. You may enjoy the feeling of your body pressing against your thighs. It's actually quite soothing and it does stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, so that's kind of cool, right? And then inhale, come halfway. Bring your hands onto your shins and fold back down. And reach out and all the way up for the ceiling, maybe reaching back. And exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. And inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Flat back, hands on your shins. Fold in, bend your knees as much as you need to. All the way up. And hands to your heart. And one more time, just like that. Exhale, fold. Flat back. Fold in. Reach up. And hands to your heart. Good. This is a really warm day here in California. And I don't have air conditioning. So I will tell you that I'm feeling a little warm, but I'm not feeling really uncomfortable, which is interesting because it's hot. But we're moving into a position that's called Warrior One. Now I'm going to say this about Warrior One. It is sometimes for people very challenging to keep their arms up in the air. And so don't. Let your arms be wherever it feels comfortable. Your hands can be on your hips. Your hands can be to your heart. Your arms could be in what I call cactus position. or they could be up in the air. It is a choice. What I do like is the position of the legs, and I tend to hold on to that, whether that's a short stance or a longer stance. The front knee is bent, the back leg is straight, and the hips are facing forward, both of them. The back hip, the leg that's back, we have a tendency to believe, probably because there's some styles of yoga that teach it this way, that we need to have that back foot aligned with the front foot and the hip forward. And I have to tell you, doing this, it's really awkward and it's really uncomfortable. So, make your life easy. Let your hips be as wide as your hips are, and your feet be as wide as those hips. It does not make sense to try to walk a straight line and keep your hips even. So, in this position, this is Warrior One. Now, if you are very bendy and very strong, and you want to do Warrior One like that, that's fine too. That's up to you. I'm going to do Warrior One like this today, because that feels about right to me right now. Let your hands be where they're comfortable. For me, cactus is really nice. Now, I will tell you also that I've got some physical limitations, a little bit, not big ones, but my right shoulder, the bicep tendon is actually longer than on the left side. And so I've had it come out of the sheath a few times, and so I'm very mindful of that shoulder. Cactus is generally fairly comfortable for me. Lifting my arms up in the air can be okay, and right now it is, but sometimes it's not. So do what works for you. There's no one right way to do this. Yoga originally was therapy. It has become exercise here in the United States, but it is still therapy in many areas of the world. So therapeutically, you wouldn't do something that would cause you pain or injure you in any way. You want to work with your body so that you can feel better or feel worse. Inhale, straighten your front knee, and exhale. And as you come over, let your hands reach wherever they do. That might be right above the knee. That might be just below the knee. You don't want to be right on the knee. Let yourself fold wherever it is that you fold comfortably. And then on your next exhale, with your breath, as your back starts to lengthen and release, let your hands slide down your leg and go wherever they go, wherever it is that you feel most comfortable. Now, if you have blocks, you can use them. I have a yoga block here so that you can see what that looks like. If that's comfortable for you, you can use a yoga block or two. I have another one, but I'm not going to go grab it. So you can use a block, or you can just bring your hands to the mat and breathe into this forward fold. Making any adjustments that you begin to notice as you sense into your body, noticing your hips, noticing the positioning of your legs, making any changes that feel best for you. And when you're ready, bending your front knee once again, coming back up into whatever Warrior One position works for your body today. And one day may be different than another, which is also a reality when you're looking at trauma-aware practices, is that we recognize that some days things are different than other days, and it's okay. And we have the choice of how it is that we do something. So bringing your hands to your heart, step forward into mountain pose. Mountain pose in yoga, in Sanskrit, is Tadasana. Tadasana is a position of focus. So as you root down through your feet, engaging the muscles in your legs, feel the belly engage and the shoulders relax down. Take a full inhale and a complete exhale here. And find a steady gaze. Find a point in space that holds your focus and your attention. Let it not be on someone or something that's moving, because that doesn't work very well. Keeping that steady focus in mountain pose also makes mountain a very relaxing and comfortable space for people who are feeling anxious. At least I find this to be so for me. As I'm rooting down through my feet, what I notice is that the ground is holding me here. Gravity works. Gravity is keeping me stable. Gravity is keeping me centered. My focus is on one little point in front of me, and I can feel myself breathe. I can feel the ground below me. I can feel my feet on the mat. I have awareness of my presence in the room. And I'm stable, and I'm settled, and I'm safe. Mountain pose can be very comforting, as can that forward fold that we did before. So just notice what happens in the body as you move into different positions, and let yourself decide what works for you. We're going to do the same thing that we just did the other way. I'm bringing my left foot forward this time instead of my right. And it doesn't matter really, you can start with either leg. So, if you want to use your forward leg you want the left leg to be your forward leg, that's fine the first time. And then the right leg to be the forward leg the second time, that's fine too. If it's difficult for you to regulate right from left, that's okay. Also, just do one and remember which one you had forward, and then just do the other one next. It really doesn't matter. You don't have to compartmentalize it so much. Allow yourself to relax into the practice. It's the most important part. So hands to the heart, arms in cactus, arms above the head or at your hips, your choice. Take a full breath in and let that breath go. Notice the sensation of your feet pressing down onto the ground. Notice the sensation of the legs engaged, the toes of the forward foot pressing forward, and the heel of the back foot pressing back. Be mindful and aware of the sensation when you straighten your front leg. What does that feel like? If you're raising your arms over your head as I am, notice that sensation. How are your fingertips feeling here? Exhale and fold forward. Bring your hands down where they reach. Wherever that is for you is perfect. And on your next exhale, perhaps you've got a little bit more space as your spine starts to relax. Fold over. Folding over that forward leg. Breathing out and breathing in. If it feels uncomfortable to stay in one position, you're welcome to move back into mountain pose. But if it feels good to stretch into something and release into this position, you're welcome to stay there as long as it feels good to you. There's no one right answer. I am going to walk my back foot forward to my hands and fold into the forward fold here. Breathing out and breathing in, even breath. And as you're ready, bending your knees, lifting all the way up, reaching your arms toward the ceiling, maybe lifting back. That feels good. And exhale your arms down by your sides into mountain pose. And as you breathe out and breathe in here, I don't know if as looking at that little camera is really strange. As I breathe in and breathe out, I am noticing my focal point, the sensation in my right leg, the sensation in my left. Is it the same? Is it different? Actually, for me right now, it's a little different. This hip is a little bit more activated than my other hip, and I'm just aware that that's true. And I don't have to do anything about it. I just need that awareness is knowledge. And we store so much in our bodies that it is really amazing how easily people with trauma history dissociate from what's happening in our bodies. But we do it because it doesn't feel safe to be there, right? When we were, especially with CPTSD, for children, it often doesn't feel safe to be present in the body, and so we numb it out, we aren't present with it. Those reactions, that numbing out, is something that as we start to recognize what's happened to us and start to work on shifting that, it's something that we need to recognize and heal. It's something that we have to be aware of and change, because that change will actually be very, very beneficial to us in the future. And so as it's comfortable, lift your arms to wherever they feel okay. That may be shoulder height, that may be a little higher, it could be all the way up, it's up to you. Bend your knees and come into what's called chair pose. And chair pose is not difficult, but it can be challenging. So as you'll notice, I'm not going very far here. I'll turn this way so that this camera can see. See, my legs aren't majorly bent, right? I'm not majorly bent. I'm a little bit bent. Does that mean I can't go lower? No, it means that I'm choosing to be right here, right now. I can go down here and do that, but I'm not really looking for an energetic practice right now. What I'm looking for is the intention and the movement of the body. So as I exhale, I'm going to reach the arms down and back. This is called dynamic chair. And then inhale and come back up to center. Full breath. Exhale completely. And another full breath. And let that go. And then straightening the knees, bringing the hands by your sides, maybe lift up onto your toes and find balance. That can be fun and challenging. It's really challenging to do that while you're not holding your breath. So if you notice that you're holding your breath, see if you can, not hold your breath. And stay balanced. Challenge. Doesn't mean you're not going to sometimes go, okay, I better go over. Sometimes we do. That's okay too. I'm going to press your feet back down onto the mat. And we're going to figure out how best to do this. I guess I'm going to do it like this. I've got my feet wide apart here. I'm going to have my butt to my other camera. That's not okay. Sorry about the logistics issues here, guys, but I don't know what I can do about that right at the moment. Reach your arms out. And as you exhale, come all the way over. Bring your hands down on the mat in front of you. And let your head and your neck fold out and down. Just nod your head yes and shake your head no. Notice the sensations in your shoulders and your neck and your hips. Awareness of the sensations in your hips as you fold. Maybe bringing your hands directly in front of you, like right underneath your shoulders. As you find that spot, so that your weight is distributed fairly evenly between your feet and your hands. And press into the arms a little bit. Press into the hands a little bit, noticing the sensation of your hands on the floor. And if this is a challenge for you, it can also be done with bent knees. So if you want your knees bent, or you want to hold on to a different surface, I'm going to bring this into it. So I have this little stool that I sit on frequently when I'm sitting at the computer. So you can use that as a place to put your hands. You could use the back of a chair to put your hands on. It doesn't matter. Your hands don't have to hit the floor. Just know that it's the forward fold that is the point. It isn't where it is that you necessarily get to. So find what's comfortable for you. And when you find that, just let yourself relax into it as you breathe in and breathe out. And then placing one hand in front of you and the other hand on your hip, we're going to twist. And you can stay right here. The hand that's on top, you could lift up in the air if that feels good. Or you could even bring that arm around your back. These are all variations which you may have observed or participated in yoga classes in the past. Frequently, instructors will show you all of these, but I don't tend to use a progression with it. I let you decide where you want to be. So just notice what feels good to you now. And it may not be the same thing that's going to feel good to you on the other side, but that's all right too. And that would be true for me. So for me, this arm goes up in the air and it's pretty happy up there. And that's cool. On the other side, I probably won't do that. Again, it's that shoulder, because the bicep tendon on that side is too long and sometimes gets cranky. So I'm going to just twist here and keep this hand on my back. Breathing into the stretch, noticing what you're noticing, being present with your body in space. Notice your feet pressed onto the mat. Where on your feet are you feeling the most sensation? Where is your weight focused? Is it on the outsides of the feet, the insides of the feet, in the center, on your heels, on the toes? What are you noticing? And be open to the possibility of exploring different things. What feels best to you, what you like more. Do you like it more when your more weight is on the inside of the feet or on the toes, or the heels are out a little farther? What does your body like? And then when you're ready, bring that hand down. Fold in once again. And then hands onto your hips as you lift up. And you can heel toe your feet in, or if you're feeling really energetic, you can jump in. It's a choice. And we're going to come back into that chair that we were doing a moment ago, lifting the arms up. Exhaling, coming into the chair, and your arms wherever you feel like you want them. Cactus is okay. Hands to your heart is also okay. You decide. And exhale as you fold into dynamic chair, reaching back behind you, straightening your knees, bending the knees as you come back forward, lifting back up into your chair. And coming tall, maybe to your tiptoes. Maybe your hands come to your apart because it's too hard to hold your hands up there too long. Yeah, it's tiring. Just noticing what works for you. And when you're ready, let the arms come down. And very, very slowly let your feet relax down, the heels rooting down onto the floor, feeling that sensation. And so I'm going to come down onto my mat with my handy dandy Zafu cushion. You can use a pillow or a bolster or a block or anything else, or nothing at all to sit on if you would prefer that, or your chair is also fine, whatever works for you. And when you're seated, when you're feeling comfortable in your location on your mat, let yourself sit nice and tall, shoulders back, maybe even closing your eyes for just a moment. And noticing what you notice with your eyes closed. Is this comfortable for you? If it's not comfortable for you to have your eyes closed, by all means open them. And if your eyes are open and soft, that's perfect. Unfocused gaze. You get to decide what works. Breathing out and breathing in. Going to do something with that breath that we haven't done yet, which is extending your exhale. Now, why do we extend the exhale? Because it has a direct connection to our parasympathetic nervous system. So you may or may not know how all of this works, but I will explain quickly. So that we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic is in charge of action. So fight and flight happen in the sympathetic nervous system. It's the area that's in charge of getting us the heck out of Dodge, right? Or fighting for our lives, or whatever that situation is. The parasympathetic nervous system, its response to danger is freeze. So that's the deer in the headlights. What's that? What is that? What that was a car going by, but that way, right? So yeah, it's that deer in the headlights reaction. It's like, what's that? That's that. Oh, I have to not breathe and be really small so that whatever it is that's out there doesn't find me. The parasympathetic, though, is also in charge of relaxation, just as the sympathetic is also in charge of excitement. So basically, the energy up is the sympathetic. The energy down is parasympathetic. And so we're working today to calm our bodies and our minds. We are generally at this time in the world dealing with a lot of anxiety, but it's not impossible to be both anxious and depressed. That's a reality. And so we will also be working with practices that will help with depression. Right now, we're going to do a practice that is wonderful for anxiety, though. It's called 2-to-1 breath. So it's extending the length of your exhale. So whatever the count or the rhythm is of your inhale, I am breathing in, you would do, I am breathing out, I am breathing out. And let it be longer. Let that time frame be longer. Or if you're counting it, maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4 in. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out. And if that feels daunting, that's okay. All you need to really do is extend the length of your exhale. If it extends for a count of 2 instead of a count of 4, so if it's instead of 4, it's 6, that's great. It gives you that little bit of more space within the parasympathetic nervous system to shift your energy. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we're going to have a little bit more space in our parasympathetic nervous system, a little bit more time there. So we're going to do this practice starting with the inhale. And let your exhale be twice as long, or even half as, 1.5 times. Following the breath in and out. Find that quiet, calm place. Noticing the sensation of breath in your lungs as they fill and as they empty. Focusing on lengthening the exhale as you sit quietly, allowing the body to relax. As you breathe, noticing the sensations of breath, feeling the air as it moves in your nostrils, feeling the air as it leaves your nostrils. Breathing in and out through your nose if at all possible. And I think there is actually, thinking about it, there's a video on my YouTube channel that details the alternate or the 2-to-1 breath as well. So if you want more practice with that, you can find that video too. Just notice the sensations in your body as you breathe out and breathe in with 2-to-1 breath. Maybe exploring the differences. If you're exhaling for 2 counts longer or 4 counts longer, how is that for you? You don't need to do it any more than twice as long. So don't try to, you don't need to do 20 times as long. Just let yourself be wherever you are. Lift your shoulders towards your ears as you inhale, and then let them drop as you exhale. Inhaling them up and exhaling them down, just noticing the sensation in your shoulders. Perhaps letting go of that longer exhale and just letting the breath come back to even breath. As you move the body, gentle movement, gentle sensation. jaw feels tight. One of my favorite things to do is open my mouth really wide, stretching the muscles of the jaw, and then release. And then maybe take one ear over toward the shoulder, and then the other ear over toward the shoulder, noticing the sensations in your neck. And where else you might feel this stretch besides your neck? Where else do you feel the stretch besides your neck? Feeling or hearing places where the neck or the shoulders or the connection to the skull, feel like it's crackling, crunching. Just notice what's true for you. And back to center, and take those circles that we've frequently done in yoga classes, and just move them down into the hips instead. It's not actually really good for your neck to do circles, although people do that a lot. It does tend to grind the bones in your neck and will ultimately end up causing you some neck problems down the line, says the woman who did that for a lot of years and learned better after a while. Don't do it anymore. I also don't ever teach it. I don't like neck circles, but I do like this. It's called Sufi circles, or at least that's what I've always called it, because the Sufis tend to make this sort of a movement as part of their practices. I find it very rhythmically soothing, and I have clients that do as well. So I find that things that create a rhythm in the body tend to be relaxing to us. It's why, well, some kinds of dance are not relaxing, but a lot of times dance can be very, very relaxing too. Just kind of noticing swimming, synchronized swimming was a thing for a while back then. But synchronized movement in general can be very good for the body. It can feel very good. And when it feels right to you, I haven't been counting, so you get to decide for yourself what you need. Just switch and turn the other way. So you're going the opposite way that you started out. Moving around in those circles. Allowing the body to stretch and contract as it feels comfortable doing. Noticing the sensations in your hips and in your waist. You can have your hands on your hips if you like that. Sometimes that feels good. So if you can see my dog in the background, that's Sam. And he's chill today because it's hot today. I squirted him down with water earlier so that he would be comfortable. It actually seems now. Kind of like when I was a little kid and went running into sprinklers. It's not outside. I kind of looked at it that way too. Just let yourself rock and roll around. And when you're ready to come back to center, you may do so in your own time, or maybe now, or maybe a couple of years later. So whenever it is that you feel comfortable settling in, once again, do that. So I'm lying down onto my mat. My arms are out to the sides, palms up, and my knees are together, my feet are wide apart. Actually, I may take my knees as wide apart as my mat, because that feels kind of good. I just like doing this. It's called windshield wipers is the only name I know for it. It may have another name, but I don't know it. So if you do, you're welcome to send me a message and let me know what it is. If there's a Sanskrit name for this, I don't know. So just let your knees roll back and forth from side to side. I find that very rhythmically satisfying. I also like taking my head from side to side with that opposite knees go to one side and my head goes to the other. I find that very, very comforting and interesting. It captures my attention. And you could always bring the arms into that too if you wanted to. You don't have to. I don't think I want to today, so I'm not going to. But it's up to you. Then I'm going to stop and bring my knees up. So holding on to your knees, bring them into your chest. And if it's comfortable for you to do so, hug your knees in. Give yourself a big hug as you walk gently back and forth. Maybe even pressing your knees away from you and then bringing them in. Rolling over your low spine. Noticing the sensations there as you roll back and forth. And at some point, when it feels right, let your legs come out in front of you and your arms come to a relaxed position beside you. And notice where you may be holding tension. A lot of people hold tension in their hips and they don't even know it. And how you'll know is usually because your legs and your feet are straight ahead, right? So my feet right now are right in front of the same space. But if I let my hips relax, my feet open to the sides. So do that and notice if you can let your legs relax there. And then let the belly relax, noticing the sensations in your stomach, the sensations in your chest as you breathe out and breathe in. Allow the shoulders to settle down onto the mat. Let the arms relax. Let your eyes gently close. If you prefer, you could leave your eyes just kind of softly unfocused and slightly open. And notice sensation in the jaw. All the muscles of the jaw relax here too. And then the mouth. Letting the teeth be slightly apart, just like tongue width apart. Lips closed. And let the body settle into the mat. And if your back is talking to you and this is not exactly comfortable, you're welcome to put anything you like. I've got bolsters over here. You can use something like this, or pillows, or folded blankets underneath your knees. That's also perfectly fine. And you could cover yourself with a blanket if you're in some place where it's definitely colder than it is here today. You could also put a pillow under your head if you wanted. You have all kinds of options and choices. Pick what works best for you. There is no one right answer. There's just the answer that's best for your body in this moment. And as you settle into whatever position that is, notice the breath. Notice as it begins to slow. Be aware as the breath begins to soften. As the body begins to relax. Breathing out, breathing in. Noticing the sensations in your hands and your fingers. particularly on any one thing, just aware and willing and present in the moment. Noticing what you notice, sensations in the body, sounds around you, temperature. Also what you see if your eyes are closed. What do you notice behind your closed eyes as it feels comfortable for you? Begin to deepen your breath. Taking a full deep breath in and letting that breath go through your mouth. As it feels comfortable, moving your fingers and your toes, maybe your hands and your feet, moving and stretching in any way that comes to you as a natural and wonderful way to stretch. Allow yourself to gently move up into a seated position on your mat or on your couch or on your chair, wherever it is that you are. And be aware of what's happening now in the body and in your mind. What do you notice here? Has anything shifted? Are you feeling more settled? Is there a sense of relaxation, peace that's come to you? Maybe, or not. Hopefully. Hopefully at least a little. When it feels right, bring your hands to your heart. And think of something, just one thing from this day, for which you are truly, honestly grateful. Take that memory and plant it in awareness. And then bring your hands to your forehead for clear thoughts, and to your lips for clear voice, and to your heart for clear intentions. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Great to be here. Great to know that you will see me at some point in time on these videos. And if you liked what you saw here, please do me a favor. Do us all a favor. Like the video below. Maybe leave a comment and let us know what you think. This is a team effort, believe it or not. And I'm at the front of the team here, but I'm not the only one that's part of treating trauma with yoga. And I'm grateful for the people that work with me. They are the foundation of what it is that I am working to create and achieve. So thank you to all of you as well. Paul and Ia and Michelle, all of you. Yay! Thank you for being a part of my team. And thank you everybody that's here and watching today. Treat yourself with love.